Hi everyone, today I'll show you how to crochet this everyday beanie in the size adult small. This is an adjustable beanie and you can make it to fit any head size. For the materials, I'm using about 90 grams of yarn that I got from Belgium. This is the Apilou print and it's 100% acrylic anti-pilling yarn and it's multicolored, so it creates a really unique design on the hat. I'm also using a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook, a pair of scissors, a yarn needle, and a stitch marker, which is optional. To begin, we'll create a slip knot. To make a slip knot, hold down a tail of yarn in front of two fingers and hold that down with your thumb about this length. And we'll wrap that yarn around the two fingers. And then turn your fingers over and loop that yarn over to create an X and hold that with your ring finger. Grab your crochet hook and insert it underneath the strand on the right side like this, and we'll go over and pick up the strand on the left side and pull that underneath, creating a U, and then we'll turn our crochet hook upwards and hold that loop on the hook. Remove your fingers from that hole, then pull up to tighten. After creating a slip knot, we'll chain 51. To chain, we'll yarn over and pull through the loop on our hook. Yarn over, pull through the loop on our hook. Repeat this pattern until you have 51 chains. And for this pattern, the foundation chain runs the height of the beanie from the top of your head to your forehead. So if we fold the chain like this would be the brim of our hat. So if you want a wider brim, then you can add more chains. Once you have 51 chains, we're going to half double crochet into the second chain from the hook. To half double crochet, we're going to first yarn over and insert your hook into the chain. Then we're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. And you should have 3 loops left on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. We'll do the same thing in the next chain. Yarn over, insert your crochet hook into the chain. Yarn over, pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on the hook. Repeat this pattern of half double crochet until you have 5 chains remaining in the row. When you have 5 chains remaining in the row, we're going to work 1 single crochet in each chain. To keep track of the last 5 single crochets, you can use a stitch marker to track the last half double crochet that you made. And this way it will be easier to track when you start the single crochets. To make a single crochet, we're going to insert our crochet hook into that first chain. Pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops on the hook. Repeat the same process for the next 4 chains. After you do 5 single crochets, to start the next row, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And the chain 1 does not count as a stitch. To start row 2, we're going to work a back loop single crochet in the first 5 stitches. To work a back loop single crochet, we're going to be inserting our crochet hook into the back loops of every stitch. So the loop that's furthest away from you, we're going to insert our hook in that loop in the back, and I'm going to pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops on the hook. Again, we'll go into the back loop in the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Continue to work a back loop single crochet until we reach the stitch marker. When you reach the stitch marker, we're going to remove the marker from that stitch. We're going to work a back loop half double crochet into this stitch. To back loop half double crochet, yarn over and insert your crochet hook. Pull up a loop. You should have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Then we'll put the stitch marker back into that stitch. Repeat this pattern of back loop half double crochet in each stitch until the end of the row. I'm almost at the end of the row and I have 1 more back loop half double crochet remaining, and you want to make sure you don't miss that last stitch. At the end of the row, you should have 50 stitches, and this is what it looks like. To start row 3, we'll chain 1, turn our work. For every alternate row, we're going to work a back loop half double crochet in the first 45 stitches, including the marker, and then back loop single crochet in the last 5 stitches. So to begin this row, we're going to work a back loop half double crochet. So we'll yarn over, insert our crochet hook into the back loop only, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 3 loops. Repeat this pattern until you reach the stitch marker. When you reach the stitch marker, you can remove the stitch marker and place a back loop half double crochet into that stitch and put the marker back in the stitch. And we're going to work back loop single crochets on top of the single crochets we did last row. So insert into the back loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And this is going to be the pattern for the entire hat. We'll continue to alternate the rows by starting with back loop half double crochet and ending with back loop single crochet, and then starting with back loop single crochet and ending with back loop half double crochet. So I'm at the last stitch and I'm going into the back loop only. Here's what your hat should look like so far after row 3. To start row 4, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And for this row, we're going to start by working a back loop single crochet in the first 5 stitches, and then back loop half double crochet in the remaining stitches. So repeat this pattern until you reach row 54. Here's what the hat looks like after 54 rows. And for size reference, this is about 36 centimeters wide. And now we're going to sew the sides of the hat together. So fold your hat in half, and the side that you fold on is the outside, and this will be the inside. So I like this side, and I'm going to start sewing the sides together. So remember not to fasten off. We're going to use that yarn that we're working with and insert our crochet hook back in, and we'll chain 1. And then we're going to line up the sides of the hat together and make sure that it's even. To sew the sides together, we're going to insert our crochet hook into the front loop on one side of the hat. So this would be the front loop right here. I'm inserting the crochet hook into that front loop. And I'm going to insert my crochet hook on the other side of the hat. And you can see if you pull this apart, we're going to work into the tops of those stitches. So I'm just going into this top in the corner and picking up 2 loops. And we're going to slip stitch all the loops together. So we've done our first slip stitch, and we're going to go into the front loop of the next stitch and over on the other side and slip stitch again. And there might not be perfect stitches to work into on that other side, but as long as you go into 2 loops and do the slip stitch, you should be okay. So continue to slip stitch along the side of the hat until you reach the top. I've made my way to the top and I'm working the last slip stitch. And after you do your last slip stitch, we're going to fasten off. So chain 1 and pull the loop through. And you want to make sure to leave a long tail so that we can sew the top of that hat together. So I'm going to cut off about right here, and this should be long enough. And after cutting, remember to pull the yarn through to tighten. To sew the top of the beanie together, we're going to thread the tail of yarn through our yarn needle, and we're going to work towards the left. I'm inserting my yarn needle into the top peaks of every ridge. So you can see that for each ridge on our hat, there is a little peak, and we're just going to work into every peak of the ridge. And when you're pulling the yarn through, you don't want to tighten right away. or the hat will look really bunched at the top. So we'll weave in to a few peaks until we reach halfway, and then we're going to tighten. And you can also weave into a few peaks at a time, so you don't have to go into each one individually, and this is a little quicker. So I've reached about halfway, and now we can start tightening the top of the hat. So before we work on the other side, we can tug on the tail of yarn gently to start cinching the hat at the top. So you can see that it's cinching in, and you don't want to pull too tight, just enough to close some of it. And then we can work into the remaining peaks on the other side of the hat. I've made my way back to the starting point, and I have one peak remaining, so I'm going to go through this and pull the yarn through. And now that we've weaved in along the top of the hat, we can pull on that tail of yarn to shut the top of the hat closed. And you want to pull a little tight so that there isn't a hole there. So do your best to close that up, and then we can take the tail from the beginning and tie a knot with the tail that we use to weave in the top of the hat. So I'm making this a double knot to secure it in place. And we can check if there's a little hole left, and if you still don't feel like it's fully closed, then we can go back in with our yarn needle and insert it into the top of the hat and pull it out from the other side. So I'm just going in and then coming out from this other side to secure that hole in place. And you can go in and out of the hat a few times until you feel like the top is fully shut. And after sewing the top, we can tie a knot with the loose ends. For the final part of the project, you can weave in your loose ends. What I like to do is poke it through the inside of the hat and turn it inside out. And I'm going to pick up a few stitches and weaving the loose strand through that. And after weaving it in, we can snip off the yarn and repeat the same thing for the other loose strand. So poke that into the inside of the hat, turn it inside out, then thread that through the yarn needle and weave that through a few stitches. And here's the final product. I hope this video was simple to follow. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoy my content, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe.